What's up, guys? It is Thursday, March 21st. It's 1:44 p.m. and this is going to be a market update. We are in the midst of the caution time frame from the 18th to the 23rd. We were saying it weeks ago and now we're here. So I'm going to go over kind of some of the things that I was covering in the Discord a few days ago, the private market update for the VIPs that I did a few days ago. And then we're going to see where we're at and what's in store next. So let's get into it. All right. So about 2 weeks ago, this is where I had gave the initial warning as far as, the date, what's about to pan out here. And now that we're here, first we need to go back to where we were at. So now we're in that event, the final wickening March 18th to the 23rd. And that's why it's so important to make sure you're keeping up to date with these videos so you can be ahead of the game. If you haven't watched this video yet, I will link it in the bio again because it's so important because it covers the key charts as well too that we're watching to see ahead and what could have been in store now that we're here. And if you weren't aware of this, making sure that you're up to date with all these videos is so important. So that's what we were seeing back then. And then what I had recorded just a few days ago is we're in the eye of the storm. It was on the 18th. So if you haven't watched this already, this was kind of the update as far as to now that we're here, what can we expect? So definitely make sure you get up to date with that first video, this video, and now watching this kind of final video as far as what happens next year. So let's make sure we're going to those key charts. We have the key charts that we're watching to know what's about to come here very shortly. So first off, we're going to start with the dollar. So let's go to that. And what we're watching for the dollar was this 12-hour chart. We're watching this key trend line coming down here. And let's kind of clean this chart up. Let's just have it be like this. And we're watching this trend line coming down. Let me hide this. So we had broken above this trend line, came back down below it. And now right now we're pressing up through it. And we also had the Fed meeting yesterday, I believe as well too. So there's a lot of volatility. So being at where we're at right now, we do have that 12-hour chart TSI crossing above that zero line, but it's really the daily chart that we need to watch like a hawk because we don't want that daily TSI to go above the zero line, because if it does, then it signifies that we'll likely see more upside for the dollar, and in contrast, we'll see more downside for the crypto market. So this is what I'm watching as far as the dollar, the daily chart, to make sure that zero line doesn't break through with the TSI, because if we do, we could see a further upside move. So where we're at right now in the dollar, we definitely want to see us start to roll over. The 12-hour chart, TSI is crossing up, but that stock RSI is trying to cross down. So in the next 24 to 48 hours here, we definitely want to see this start to have some weakness. That's the dollar. So let's go into the next chart that we were covering. And that was the pump dump chart here. So on the daily chart, we were watching the 12-hour chart. And we had said, hey, we don't want this TSI to go through that zero line. We could be doing something like this where we had one more pull down and then we go with the dark red of the MACD. And we did see that one more pull down. We did see the dark red of the MACD, but we definitely extended further than we would like to. So what I want to see now is on the 12-hour chart, this start to, maybe we'll see kind of one more pull down and then we can go. But we need to see that start to cross up, and we need to see that ASAP so this daily TSI doesn't start to go below that zero line. We don't want to see that daily go below the zero line, because then we have more downside to come in a prolonged correction. So 12-hour chart, we want to see that cross up, and we can gauge whether or not it's going to by going down to lower time frames. So if we go to the 6-hour chart, we did cross up. If we go to a 9-hour chart, we're crossing up right now. So if we can see continued strength from these lower time frames, that will spill into the 12-hour time frame, which will then spill into the daily time frame. This daily time frame can hard stop and cross up. And that's what we're looking to see. But where this pump and dump chart is at right now, we had a nice pump back up yesterday, which brought everything up into the green, but now we could be headed for the knockout punch. So we held the line at this critical level here. We came right back up, but then we ran into this downwards resistance like that, and we need to break above there to be out of the woods. So we're not quite out of the woods just yet. We definitely need to break above this micro 786, which would bring us back above the purple moving average as well too. And then with that, we would likely see a 12-hour cross up, get above that zero line, and we would be out of the woods. But we're almost there, not quite yet, and we're still in the midst of this 18th to 23rd time frame. So in Greece City, I had laid out a couple scenarios here. This was, I think, the 18th at 10:42 p.m. So like 3 days ago, a little more than 3 days ago. But we were watching the altcoin season pulse chart, and that's what we're going to go into next, because I was noticing a pattern here. So we're matching up the pattern from back in December to now. And we had seen the 12-hour buy now, 12-hour buy now. We saw a pump in this chart, which means a dump in the cryptos, especially the altcoins. And we were matching up the oscillators down here. And I had said, if this holds true, we need to see all those bottom indicators react the same in tandem. And basically from that point where I said it, it said that 33 hours, it takes us out to Wednesday, 8 a.m., and then we see some relief. And that was spot on the money. If we go to the pump dump chart, we go to Wednesday at 8 a.m. This was Wednesday at midnight. And then we saw 4 a.m., 8 a.m., and this was 12 p.m., noon to where we're at now. Basically, that's where we saw the relief come in. But that doesn't mean that it's over yet, because there was also another thing that I covered in Greece CD as far as the knockout punch. So if we go up a little bit here, so here's how it usually goes. During the 5-day window, the 18th to the 3rd, we see a lower low, scary dump, which what we were seeing then. Then usually we see a relief bounce out there in the middle of the 5-day window, which we're seeing now. Then we see the final main event, which is the second dump towards the end of the 5-day window, which is the knockout punch. Then by the 23rd-ish, we bottom out and start to slowly trend back upwards. And then by month's end, we pick up some speed and make our way higher than we were for the start of the new month. And we go higher than before this sell-off. And that's most of the time. So that's kind of letting you know what's ahead here is we're not quite out of the woods yet. We're seeing our relief in the middle of this caution window, and what we could be heading towards next is the knockout punch, where we head down in this pump dump chart, which means we dump in crypto, and it could just be a double bottom, something like a double bottom, then we go, or we could see a further dip down, which would be the knockout punch. We start the bottom out, and then we head on higher to end off the month. So that's what I'm seeing so far, and how we can gauge that is looking at these oscillators down here and looking at the multiple time frames. That's a flip book concept to be able to gauge if we're getting out of the woods. So on the 12-hour chart, we're getting close to turning the trend here, but we're not out of the woods just yet. I do think we'll see one more pull down and then go. So just keep that on the radar as far as what I'm expecting next. We're not quite out of the woods. I don't think we're just going to send it up from here. I do think we could have one more pull down before ultimately bottoming out and then seeing us head up higher. But one thing I wanted to show was on the pump dump chart, the 12-hour prepare to buy soon here, that flash at the bottom back here was, if we look to the past, we've only flashed it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times since the beginning of this rally year back in 2023. This was August. We saw the prepare to buy soon come in. It was our bottom. Saw it again come in October, bottom. We saw it come in January as our local bottom. We went up, but then we put in a further bottom and we saw it there again. So what we saw right now is that 12-hour prepare to buy soon again. So we're very oversold, but that doesn't mean we can't come back down and go lower and flash it another time like we did back here. But we're very close to bottoming out and being able to start the inevitable. And the inevitable is breaking below on the altcoin season pulse chart, this belly of the beast. Because last time in the last bull market, when we broke below into the belly of the beast, like back here, this is March of 2021. Now we're here in March of 2024. Once we break into it and we get swallowed up by the beast, this is when the altcoins go up 5, 10, 20x. And we see the inevitable event of life-changing gains here over the coming weeks to months. So we're teetering on the edge still. And as far as that fractal pattern that I was covering in Greece City on Wednesday, we're seeing that same thing pan out, and we're seeing some relief now, and we're comparing it to back here. So it was this, and if we kind of stretch it out a little bit, so there we go. So we should, by month's end, going into April here, see a break below into the belly of the beast, but that doesn't mean we can't just have a little wick up, which means that we have that knockout event here over the coming days. Once the 23rd to the 25th kind of comes to light here and we are out of the woods, then we can be risk on thrive mode. But for now, it's survive, then thrive. So that's what I'm seeing. We're very close. If we go on higher time frames, like the 3-day chart, we are seeing the momentum head down in this chart, which is what we want to see for a massive alt season. But right now, we're still in the caution zone, the time frame. So we need to be on edge. But pretty soon here, we're going to see some amazing gains out of these altcoins. So these are the key charts I watch. I look at the alt season pulse chart right here. I look at the pump dump chart right here. And then also the dollar obviously comes first and foremost. But then the next thing I watch is the others chart. That's the altcoins chart. So looking at others, if you go to the 12-hour chart here, we saw a prepare to buy soon flash. So saw a prepare to buy soon flash at that scary moment. Just like back here, we saw in January, prepare to buy soon flash, and that was the bottom. Here we saw prepare to buy soon flash, that was the bottom. And then back here as well too, in October, in September, and June as well too. So once that buy now comes in, we should be out of the woods. We don't have it quite yet. And that's why I think we might still see a little further pull down scare event, and then we're good to go. We did break above this kind of micro trend line that was holding us down. If we take this like that, so we broke above, which is a good sign. We're trying to change the trend, but we're not quite out of the woods until we see that 12-hour buy now come in. And at that point, we should be ready to rattle. We may come down, retest this trend line, or we may even come down, retest these bottoms here. So low to high, we might come back down. On that knockout event, we could even come down to wick to that purple moving average, and that would fulfill kind of what we're expecting. And then that would be a hard bounce out of there to then new highs going into April. So that's what I'm watching as far as the key market driver charts, the dollar, the pump dump chart, the altcoin season pulse chart, and then others, to know whether or not we're out of the woods or not. And then if all those market drivers are working in our favor, then that's when you go to the anomalies chart and you can spot out certain altcoins that are outperforming or underperforming. And then you can go into specific altcoin charts at that moment. You first want to start with the market driver charts, because that's going to give you the holistic macro view of everything. And if those line up to be bullish, then you look at the individual altcoin chart to then gauge that. You don't want to start on the altcoin chart, because if the drivers aren't matching up to be looking good for that, then you can get burned. So that's why it's very important to watch these videos to understand this concept. I'll link them in the bio of this video so you can go over them, study them, because that's how we're able to plan and see things ahead as far as this goes. So we do have some anomalies going, but until we see us with the pump dump chart and those higher time frame macro drivers working in our favor, once those are lining up perfectly, then we can go hard on anomalies. But for now, it's still survive, then thrive. So that's going to be it. I'll be in the Discord. I caught up on some good sleep the past 2 days, so I'll be in there to make sure that we get out of this caution time frame unscathed here. So let's get it. I'll see you guys in there. Any questions, let me know in premium chat, and I'll see you guys in the next video.